The story begins in the year 2028, a time during which most nations of the world have adopted the use of militarized robots that enforce security. These advanced military drones are supplied all over the world by a company called Omnicore, and they work by using scanners in their bodies to distinguish between people who are threats from those who are harmless. The United States has not fully accepted this means of law enforcement, so the movie starts with a popular television host, Novak, encouraging the people of the country to consider it. He wants the police force in the country to be replaced by these high-tech military robots, but the American citizens are understandably terrified of such scary-looking machines. On top of that, the government is also against the form of law enforcement, but Novak insists that it's the best way to go, and to show just how much he believes in this vision, he invites a military leader on his show to explain how the military drones operate, and even sends a news reporter down to the Middle East, where these robots already function, so that he can show the viewers how they work. Initially, the reporter goes around recording how these drones don't hurt anyone who's not a threat, but while that's happening, some of the rebellious residents, who are still agitated that their home has become overrun by the machines, decide to arm themselves and attack the robots. It doesn't take long before a large-scale battle ensues between them, with several explosions occurring in the process. The robots use deadly force to kill any rebels on sight, and the entire area quickly turns into a war front. Everything happening is watched by the audience back in the United States through the live feed, and as the place begins to crumble, the robots come across a terrified little boy holding a knife, hoping to defend himself. Unfortunately, the drones identify the knife as a weapon and label the boy a threat, so they engage and unleash a barrage of bullets on him, which kills him. Even after witnessing the horrible destruction and killing that just went down, Novak insists that the robots did the right thing, telling his viewers that they're just trying to keep the city safe. After seeing what happened in the Middle East, the United States government is forced to pass a law that forbids the use of militarized robots in the country. Of course, this comes as bad news to the CEO of Omnicore, Raymond Sellers, so after the policy is created, he and his team come up with an idea to create Cyborg robots. However, the scientist in charge of this experiment informs Sellers that they need someone stable enough to withstand such high pressure. Elsewhere, a detective in the city named Murphy is invited to Chief Karen's office because his colleagues, Andre and John, are upset that he interfered with their investigation. So, he tells her about the undercover operation with some criminals he and his partner went on the previous night. They managed to arrest an arms dealer and confiscated his illegal weapons, but later, when Murphy went back to check, he found out that the weapons were missing. To get to the bottom of the investigation, Murphy and his partner went undercover again, this time with the gang leader Valen, but the dinner meeting was cut short when he got tipped off that they were cops. Valen then cleverly left the restaurant before ordering his men to open fire on the officers inside and kill them. The cops tried to fight back in the heated exchange of bullets, but after realizing that they were outgunned, they decided to escape through the back alley. Unfortunately, while Murphy made it out of the building practically unharmed, his best friend and partner, Lewis, suffered severe gunshot wounds. After telling this story, Murphy suggests that John and Andre are corrupt detectives because of their inability to arrest Valen even after 2 years of being on his case, but Karen reminds him that he shouldn't meddle with other people's investigations without her approval. Just as Murphy predicted, it turns out that Andre and John are really dirty cops, because when the scene shifts, we see them secretly meeting with Valen. There, it's revealed that they were the ones who tipped him off about the other 2 detectives, and they suggest getting rid of Murphy by killing him. Valen is initially reluctant to go along with this plan, but the dirty cops assure him that there won't be a problem because they'll be the ones investigating Murphy's murder afterward. Eventually, he agrees with the idea and orders one of his men to plant a bomb on Murphy's car while he's seeing Lewis at the hospital. Later that night, Murphy returns home and tucks in Son in bed before joining his wife to get frisky, but just when they are starting to get in the mood, the alarm in his car starts blaring. He goes downstairs to check the car, not knowing that the alarm is just a trap, and once he gets close enough, the bomb explodes, leaving him fatally wounded. Murphy suffers 4th-degree burns all over his body, and it's so bad that one of his arms and legs has to be amputated. Sellers and his scientist, Dr. Norton, learn of this tragedy and select Murphy as the perfect candidate for their cyborg experiment. Desperate to keep her husband alive, Clara gives them permission to use Murphy for the experiment, and after 3 months, Murphy wakes up from his coma to see that he's now half man, half robot. Initially, he's furious about it because he didn't agree to it, and he even attacks Dr. Norton in a fit of rage. The other scientists try to shut Murphy down before he can escape from the lab, but Norton tells them to let the cyborg go. Murphy keeps running and even jumps over the high wall of the facility, but when he gets to a farm, the scientists finally decide to shut him down. They take him back to the lab where Norton shows Murphy all that's left of his human body. The only organs still intact are his head, brain, heart, and lungs, so when Murphy sees this, he breaks down and begs the doctor to just put him out of his misery. However, Norton informs him that Clara signed consent forms, which prevents them from putting all the work to waste. Murphy has no choice but to accept his fate, and the following day he's taken out for combat training. Because of his human emotions and empathy, he's not able to match up with the original military robots in terms of efficiency. Seeing this, Sellers is greatly unsatisfied because all he cares about is ensuring that his robots are efficient. So he asks Norton to get rid of Murphy's emotions. Sure enough, the doctor carries out an operation on Murphy's brain to keep him under the control of the robot programming. And after this happens, his efficiency is greatly increased. In the next training session, Murphy is so fast and accurate, but this improvement comes at a cost, because his human emotions have been compromised. After seeing the new performance, Sellers is very impressed and can't wait to unveil the breakthrough to the public. Later that night, Norton takes Murphy home to see his family for the first time since the bomb blast, and even though he's no longer the way he used to be, his wife and son still love him deeply. The day for Murphy to be revealed to the public arrives, but before his big presentation, Norton tries to upload the police database information into his system. Murphy breaks down when he sees the CCTV footage of his bomb explosion, so much so that he shuts down moments before his big unveiling. Norton is forced to remove all of Murphy's emotions this time to get him up and running, causing him to walk out to the stage like a robot zombie. His wife Clara and their son David try to get his attention, but he just ignores them with a cold expression. During his presentation, he spots a man who's wanted for murder and swiftly apprehends him, proving just how efficient he can be. And after that, the next couple of days show Murphy patrolling the city like a robot Batman, stopping different kinds of crimes, including busting a drug land, which ends up getting blown up. The Robocop rides his high-tech bike along the streets one day when Clara stops him to inform him that David is traumatized, but he just passes her, seeming not to care at all. However, when he sees his wife and son being harassed by the press, he feels bad for neglecting them and returns home. There, he checks the CCTV footage again and realizes that David actually witnessed his burning body that night of the bomb explosion. Seeing this breaks Murphy's heart and causes him to recover his human emotions. Now, he decides to get his revenge on the people who did this to him, and he starts by tracking down Jerry White, the gun dealer who first told him about Valen's activities. Murphy forcefully interrogates him, and even after much resistance, Jerry finally reveals the identity of the person he knows on Valen's crew. The Robocop taps into the phone records and finds the location of Valen's warehouse, but when he rides into the place, someone secretly informs the gang leader that Murphy is on his way. Without skipping a beat, Valen gathers his men to prepare for the unwanted guest, and he turns off all the lights, hoping to make it harder for Murphy. However, when Robocop breaks into the place, he easily engages all the gunmen. In the heated gunfight, his visor is shot and his suit gets broken, but he still manages to take out all the henchmen. Afterward, he picks up one of the guns and scans it for fingerprints, only to find John and Andre's on it. Murphy returns to the station to interrogate the dirty cops, and even provides solid evidence to prove that they were involved in the bombing of his car. Andre tries to shoot Murphy, but receives a bullet before he can, so a terrified John confesses everything, revealing that Karen was also involved. He deals with John, but before he can face the chief, he gets shut down remotely by Omnicorp because they want to protect the secrets of their most valued clients. Soon, the U.S. government finally allows the use of robot cops all over the country, but Sellers becomes worried that Murphy's behavior will jeopardize the company's reputation, so he orders one of his best men, Maddox, to destroy the cyborg cop. Thankfully, Norton takes the transmitter off Murphy's body and informs him that Sellers wants to get rid of him. Murphy zooms off the Omnicorp headquarters to deal with the situation and flies into the building with his bike. There, he's confronted by huge military droids, and as he tries to fight them off, one of them falls on top of his left arm. He's forced to shoot the arm off, and then an unarmed Lewis runs in to distract the droids so that Murphy can escape. Murphy makes it to the roof, where Sellers is waiting for a helicopter after kidnapping Clara and David. The cyborg tries to arrest him, but Sellers is wearing a red asset bracelet, which prevents him from doing so. However, when Sellers points the gun at Clara and David, Murphy manages to override his programming and shoots him, while also getting shot back in the process. Sellers collapses to the floor and dies, while Murphy's family immediately rush to check up on him. Thankfully, he survives, and the story ends with Clara and David walking into the lab sometime later to see Murphy fitted in a new advanced robot suit.